unfortunate. And so we have a lot to talk about, just a lot to get to. And if you Hi everybody, welcome
Let's
to the
talk about
conversation.
love, health and wellness, transformation, yeah, we got it. Discuss your breakthroughs, national
Our local
issues.
Bahamians, but also those who are listening around the region and the world this afternoon. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have an audience that really, from Europe to the United States, Canada, around the region, and of course, Bahamians right here who are very interested in just wanting to know the answers and ask the questions that get them the answers that they seek. Before we introduce
a little inspiration, tune into the conversation. Talk about it on the conversation.
This is the time,
when you need a little
Shenique, when the country really need to find ways to join together to fight common problems that we have. Collaborative leadership.
You need a little conversation. We can go far with the conversation. Here with Shenique on the conversation, yeah.
Please share the video, share. Tag some people in the live feed, share it in your private Facebook group, share it in your WhatsApp group.
Here with Shenique on the conversation, yeah.
Conversation, and it's a brand new week here on the conversation. We have wonderful shows on tap for you, and so certainly, of course, we're very happy that you decided to open the week and spend the first day of the work week here on the conversation. Listen, you don't want to miss any of this week's shows because it's going to just get better. And so we're really happy about that. Today, we have a lot to get through, a lot. For example, you all saw the numbers today. Former Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands says, listen, we need 200,000 plus or additional Bahamians to become vaccinated. That is the only way the Bahamas begins to accomplish something called herd immunity, and it's the only way we get back to some normalcy, is what he is saying. What are your thoughts about that? Many people are resisting it. Many people are fighting tooth and nail, including you all. Get this, doctors. That's right, including doctors. And then, of course, as you all know, there's been an extension to the lockdown in North and Central Andros, and also on the island of Cat Island. We have the Member of Parliament who's going to be joining us from that area to find out exactly what's going on. Is it warranted? What's happening in Andros, particularly North and Central, to have cause for this to happen and this lockdown to be extended. So it's a jam-packed show for you today. We perhaps have a little hot topics as well for you squeezed in. And so we have a lot to get to today. Let's get quickly to my first guest, as he is just again, sort of fitting us into his very busy day. I thank you very much, Dr. Kevin Bethel. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you very much for joining us here on the conversation.
Thank you, Shenique, once again for having me.
Good afternoon to you, Dr. Bethel. Let's just jump right in, Dr. Bethel. Dr. Dwayne Sands, former Minister of Health, says, listen, we need 200,000 Bahamians vaccinated. That is the only way the Bahamas can get out of lockdowns, can get out of still being in a very, I guess, peculiar spot. We need to have these additional people vaccinated. He also said, but the issue is of education. The issue is the fact that doctors are resisting. The issue is the fact that other medical professionals are resisting. And of course, the wider society. Dr. Kevin Bethel, how do we get 200 people? Let us just start right there. 200,000 people. When you heard that number today and when you saw that number, what is the first thing that went through your mind?
Well, they keep moving the goalposts, they keep changing it. Minister Wells last week said that he wanted 120. And I think the number is determined by how many vaccines they have committed to come. So if they get a commitment for 300,000 vaccines, the number will now be 300,000. So that's just kind of clearly obvious. It's somewhat of a political statement that as they get a commitment for more vaccines, they want to use them. Irregardless of the safety issues and stuff. So you mentioned that doctors were concerned. Well,
yeah, well, that's the most surprising thing.
No, it's not surprising because guess what? We were some of the first to receive this thing, and a lot of us got sick. A lot of us saw our families get sick. A lot of us saw our patients getting sick. All right, so we had first-hand count of this horror, And I literally describe it as a horror. When you see someone sick with this, now the thing is that this is different. We have treatment for COVID, all right? See, there's like 4 stages that we should go through when we're looking at dealing with treating a new illness, and we've identified treatment, so the issues with wearing a mask and social isolation and stuff, all those things, are good to use in the initial phase until we can get in place. Remember back in the beginning, the whole purpose of this was we just need a couple weeks to catch ourselves, get the hospitals ready, get the doctors all educated about what sort of treatments we need to use, because we already, right from the beginning last March, had information about how to treat coronaviruses. And there's no reason to think that treating coronaviruses would be any different than treating this coronavirus. So all of us, not all of us, some of us went and did our homework, and we found that vitamin D and zinc combined with quercetin, maybe hydroxychloroquine, and a whole host of other things, and ivermectin, wonderful treatments. So I've treated well over 200 very sick people with COVID. Not a single one has ended up in the hospital. The people that there are people that have come under my care that have been in the hospital, or because they didn't get the treatment. They came to me after the fact, or they came to me right at the end of things. But I've had nobody die because we've been able to get treatment. So if we can get treatment in people, they don't die. So so we're talking about 200,000 people that need to get vaccinated. I want to get back to that. Yeah. All right. So where does the need come from? For number one thing is we have people that have already had the infection and they have natural immunity. So how do we count?
I saw a doctor speak about the fact that some people are naturally immune. Now that is not to say that everybody who is watching. I am not telling you all to assume that you have a natural immunity to COVID and not at least take some sort of precautions or even the vaccine. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that this is something I've seen just in the last few days, and I've also seen personally doctors tell me that they are not taking the vaccine, at least not right now. Yes, Dr. Bethel.
Yeah. So we have tests where we can check to see if someone is immune. This very vaccine, when it went through the very short clinical trial that they're using for emergency approval, they checked the people who had the vaccine to make sure that they had developed antibodies. That was the first stage, to see if it works to get them to produce antibodies. Then the next stage is to follow these people as they are exposed to people who actually have COVID, to see if those antibodies that were produced from the stimulation from the vaccine would be enough to protect them from actually getting sick. May not be enough to protect them from catching the virus, testing positive on a test, but that they wouldn't get sick. And it did that. To a large degree. So we have these tests that can determine if people are immune. It's part of how they even evaluated whether this vaccine was effective, but they're not. Still to this day, I did my own small study where I checked people after having the vaccine to see if this vaccine was actually working as promised by the manufacturer. And the shocking fact is that it's not. I was getting 20 to 25% of people that have had the vaccine are actually making antibodies. So if people are getting this vaccine and we roll it out 200,000 and only 25%, that means only 50% of 50,000 people will actually have the antibodies. All right. Now, mind you, mine was a very small cohort, but the government should be doing a cohort of people. They should have did the cohort initially on the healthcare workers who they rolled it out to initially, and check them to see if this thing is really working. Just, it's too new. Why trust this? We're now seeing, for example, not to switch gears, but because there's also talk about getting a vaccine from China. Is anybody following the countries that have adopted and used the vaccine from China in the Middle East? They've had some problems with it also, different problems than the one that we have here. People seem to be going into fulminant liver failure with that vaccine, not in a lot of ways, but they get different problems. So, but now they're seeing that those people aren't developing antibodies. The rate of immunity that's acquired from the Sinopharma vaccine, COVID vaccine, is not substantial. So those countries have laid out a bunch of money to purchase this vaccine, and now they're being told by the Chinese. Oh, well, we've updated. Oh, haven't we heard this story
Oh my
before?
gosh.
We've updated the vaccine, and then we're going to send you the booster for some money. All right. So they're kind of pissed off because they're kind of
Yes.
upset, right?
Yes. And Dr. Bethel, well, let's
falling down the same path. We're falling down the same path.
Dr. Bethel, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that there's that number that was thrown out today. The present Minister of Health kind of almost said the same thing. Over 100,000 need to be vaccinated. So then, Dr. Bethel, let's talk about the fact that, okay, here is Cayman Islands, who is near herd immunity. According to reports I saw, need about 3,000 more people to be vaccinated to, I guess, have half the population vaccinated and what they consider herd immunity. What are we to do? What are we to do, and what should the government do? Because it appears as though there's a lot of information that's flooding social media that have a lot of people on the fence about, listen, maybe I shouldn't. I hear Dr. Bethel say this. I hear the next doctor say that. I know doctors who tell me they're not taking it. I know doctors who tell me go take it. What should Bahamians do, Dr. Bethel? There's a lot of confusion out there. What kind of questions? And then should the government...
Ask the doctor who's telling them to take it. Ask them to please explain what this vaccine is. If they can't explain what it is, then who are they to give advice? Are they able to explain that this is a live chimpanzee virus that has been genetically modified to infect the person that it's injected into, to cause that person's cells to produce the very toxin produced by COVID that is killing people? So how does that process get regulated? How does it that some people it may work just spot on and they only make just enough toxin to make them sick but not die, and then they get immune, and other people it makes them sick enough to die or get blind or heart attacks or strokes or other maiming and morbidity issues. All right. So but then can they also explain to the patient that, well, how do they grow these viruses that they're injecting into my arm? Well, here's what we do. We get the cells from human aborted fetuses and we grind them all up into a nice little slurry of cells and grow them so that we can grow these viruses in those cells from human aborted fetuses. So you would think that it would be with the religious prohibition against abortion and many of our denominations, that would be definitely faux pas and off the list. All right. Because it just doesn't sound right, and yes, they can make excuses and they say, okay, well, they don't directly get the cells out of the fetus, the aborted fetus, they grow them, and okay, well, they grow them from an aborted fetus. All right, so you're splitting hairs there, but for some people that's a really important issue. Not only are you putting their life in jeopardy, you're actually putting their immortal soul in jeopardy by injecting that into them.
Well, today my special guest is Dr. Kevin Bethel. Dr. Kevin Bethel, as you all know, has not been quiet. He's been very vocal about how he feels about the vaccine and the fact that there should be more information. The government should be giving more information, or at least a public education campaign. He also is talking about the fact that, in his estimation, do not even rush to take the vaccine. And Dr. Bethel, if I'm wrong, please step in and correct me.
We have treatment. Right? If they would roll out the treatment, we have preventative measures that are very effective, all right, with vitamin D and zinc and quercetin. And even if you catch it, you get a mild case, but nonetheless, I treat everybody, and everybody in the contact chain gets ivermectin and the vitamin D and the zinc. They just continue with those. And it works beautifully. It's just such common sense. I don't understand how this measure has been overlooked. Treat everybody in the contact chain. Don't just sort of identify them and call them up, and say, "Are you still alive? You sure you're not dead? You sure you're not ready to come into the hospital yet?" Because that's what they do, and why, and send them home with an aspirin and cough syrup. I mean, what is this? A year and a half later, that's the best the medical profession has to offer. I mean, come on, we're better than that.
Dr. Bethel, how do you respond to people who say, "Listen, man, Dr. Kevin Bethel has gone over the edge. He has gone too deep with this stuff. What is his motive?"
Well, see, that's a good question. You have to ask the people that the only doctors really that are supporting this blind rollout of an experimental vaccine are the doctors that actually are getting benefit from it. Their employment basically depends on it. Okay, they're afraid to speak up because of their employment depends on them not speaking up about it, or they're in some sort of academic position. And think about it this way. I mean, I know it's going to be a slight switch of gears here, but you think about the news that's come out about Fauci and his act of treason, basically. All right, we don't need to go into details. You can save that for another time. In the U.S. Okay, so is this the type of person that we're supposed to be trusting? But here's the reason that a lot of the doctors went along with him and still go along with him, because there's huge amounts of money being poured into laboratory research. And if it is revealed that some of this research was the very cause of this coronavirus, it's going to make a lot of governments, a lot of people say no more. We cannot trust our tax money to go towards research that's potentially going to cause another disaster like this. So they're scared their research funding will be cut off. You see what I'm saying? So they go along. They go, well, we just need to get through this, and I don't care because I'm going to get my paycheck. So you ask me about what do I have to gain? I get nothing. All I get is heartache. All I get is insults. And I'm the one that's following science. I do the research and I present it, but the problem is that most of my colleagues don't want to look at the research. They selectively, look at it, and and that's I've just had enough of it. I just don't. I've been outspoken, but now it's the lies. Because here's the thing: treating COVID, even at any stage of the COVID illness, is manageable once you know how to do it. All right. But treating this vaccine toxicity is a whole different ball game.
And you did say, Dr. Bethel, you and I have been speaking, and you told me that the how you say the ramifications then, the what comes back later is something that doctors are also now doctors like you are now also paying attention to. I want to say welcome to the YouTube audience. Thank you very much, YouTube. Thank you for streaming live. Thank you to Melissa Miller and Florina Pratt for sharing the live stream. Please do share the live stream, everybody. Share the live stream. YouTube audience, thank you so much for streaming as well. And welcome to today's show. Dr. Bethel, here it is. Here are some one or two questions for you before you go, because I know that you
like
just
questions.
Florina, there's a question about Haiti that I hope I find it again. Florina Pratt says she's just disgusted about the lockdowns, etc., with the government extension. I think the government needs to embark on an educational campaign. That is where it needs to start. Certainly, absolutely. Vaccine from, here is Melissa Miller. Vaccine from creators of the pandemic. What kind of nuts are these? Listen, Dr. Bethel, that right there caused you to scratch your head. Like, wait a minute, you all was trying to do something in a lab that got out of control, and now what?
And these are the ones that we're supposed to trust to advise us through this. Well, you can see that all the way along they advise us the wrong thing to do. I mean, going back to the beginning, they told us don't give the patients anti-inflammatories and don't give them aspirin, don't give them anticoagulants. What do we find out? That's the exact thing. Every step of the way, they've tried to thwart us from doing the right thing, and it continues to this day. There is actually ads, TV ads running in some countries, not here because we don't really generally use ivermectin on a major scale, like within the hospitals and stuff. It's not part of the national protocol. But in places, there actually are companies that, funded by the manufacturers, I won't name names, of other medicines that aren't really effective for COVID, but they want people to spend money on those medicines. They're running ads against ivermectin. I mean, it's just the sanity of this whole thing is just gone, out the window. it just doesn't make any sense.
Barbara Cartwright says, thank you, Dr. Bethel. Thank you for thank you for this information and your ongoing fight. I imagine it must be quite taxing on you. Tanisha Meadows Tate says, I want to know what Dr. Bethel thinks about Haiti, and what is it that Haiti is doing differently? Why is it that they are not on lockdowns and persons are not really sick there? What's happening there, Dr. Bethel?
Well, I haven't really followed Haiti as much as I I should. But it seems that a lot of the countries that are outside of the how should I say, the talons of big industry and big pharma are doing just fine. They do fine. It's real easy for them to find the things that we've been talking about. There's so many herbal things that are helpful for COVID. I did a whole last year, countless numbers of presentations, everything, from neem and green tea, green tea. So there's so many things. So if you're just eating healthy, getting some sunshine, quercetin, by the way, is found in a lot of fruits. It was originally identified in the quince, I think it was, a type of fruit, but it's found in so many fruits, especially the tropical fruits that we have here. So in places where people are living closer to the earth, it's not surprising that they're doing better, because a healthy body is just going to be able to fight off any infection better. Now, one would argue, okay, well, there's so much poverty in places like India and Haiti and those people that are impoverished, they don't have good health. Yes, there is a flip side to it, but yet you look at the numbers, and
well, India had just a wild spike, or is that okay? Let me just keep moving on.
But see, the thing is that a lot of that is media hype. All right, because you talk to
you mean the pictures I've seen. That's another thing. You were speaking to colleagues, so you will jump in. But the videos we have seen, the news stories we have seen of just having to mass burnings, etc., because it was just so much. What are you saying, Dr. Bethel?
Okay, some of that was footage from old terrorist attacks and old gas pipeline explosions where they had mass casualties and stuff like that. So that's very disingenuous to put on the news old footage from old disasters and pretend that this is the COVID. The major news media was complicit in this lie. Now, I'm not saying that there wasn't problems in India, and it was state by state. You got to realize that a big country like India, it's run state by state. So some states were using ivermectin and did absolutely fine. And other states, they did kind of like what we did here. We just, they might have been using ivermectin and other things and were doing fine. And then as soon as the vaccine came along, they just switched gears. All the doctors said, well, we'll forget about using ivermectin. Let's just push the vaccine as much as we can. And the cases just went, skyrocketing in those areas. So you have to really look at what's happening in an individual regional area, and it's not just, when I say region, not just by country. Just like in the Bahamas, we have to look at it from island to island.
Yes, well, we will certainly look at islands in a minute. I want to get to one or two more questions. Hopefully I can see it. By the way, thank you all for streaming live today. Share the live stream. Welcome also YouTube audience. Thank you very much for streaming as well. Share the live stream, guys, on Facebook. Please do share the live stream. Glenn Roy Pratt says too many people are believing in what others are telling them. Here is Kizzy Aisha Newton-Child. I already took mine. I got Kizzy, where English is. She says she already took her vaccine. She did the one shot Johnson and Johnson, she says, and so she says she feels pretty good and everything is fine. So let's get to hopefully another question. Mary Barrianto says, isn't this the doctor who took the vaccine along with his family? Well, I hope he's not here to tell the population not to take it after he has taken it. Dr. Bethel, are you being
I'm here
just
to say that? Oh, definitely. I'm here to say that I had a very bad. You want me to share my experience? It's about time that I share my experience, because the government needs to be held accountable for what happened to me. All right. I begged the head of infectious disease here after I had an incident. I was having such excruciating headaches. All right, I was having such serious symptoms. Okay, and I begged them, please send a doctor to please come and evaluate me and figure out what is happening. They refused. They flat out refused. Even when I talked to the head. All right, they were so cruel, and I use the word cruel because he told me, well, because I said I need to get some tests done. He said, you go get your tests. I mean, I must go pay for them myself. All right. When you get your test to evaluate it, we will look at it. All right. And I said, that's cool. So you guys have done something to me that's caused me to get sick, and you don't want to take any responsibility for it at all. None whatsoever. All right. Now, so it's very disingenuous for someone to say that they benefited from getting sick. All right. That is not a nice thing to say. All right, about anything, you know, like someone benefits from having a heart attack or anything like that, or having a stroke. All right. So I am here to say that I lived through it. All right. And my experience is quite deep because of that. All right. I was able to figure out a lot of things. I consulted with a lot of doctors all over the world who were dealing with people having vaccine reactions. And I was able to figure out exactly how you treat these vaccine reactions, which is very different than how you treat the COVID. It's different. All right. So, you know, it's not an issue of saying, oh, well, I had mine, so I'm going to be greedy and I don't want you all to get yours. No. If you want to go and get a monkey virus that's been genetically engineered to program your cells for an unknown period of time to produce a toxin that's grown in human aborted fetuses cells, then you're welcome to it. And that's what I just tell people. People stop me in the street and they ask, should I take it? And I tell them exactly that. That's taking a monkey virus grown in human aborted fetuses that's genetically engineered to program your cells to make a toxin. Does that sound like a good idea to you? And if they say no, and I say, well, then you have your answer.
It doesn't sound like a good idea, but is it also a disservice to an entire country, Dr. Bethel, to have people stand just standing there?
My right. They asked me what my opinion was. All right. And that's my opinion. I just said, if it sounds like a good idea to them, then go right ahead and take it. I'm not stopping you. It's a free country.
Yes, Sophia Fowler, Dr. Bethel's wife, also had issues as well after she took the vaccine as well. Rochelle Fowler says, people in my family have taken the vaccine and they are fine. They only had headaches or a fever.
Headaches.
Yes, Dr. Tanisha Meadows Tate says, Dr. Bethel, what do you think? Okay, we already asked the Haiti question. Okay, my thing is kind of going up and down. Let's see if I can get to one more question, because Dr. Bethel, I know you are past the time that you have given us. I know that you are. Do you worry equally over all vaccines, even those that are not available in the Bahamas? This is Lisa Pakush. So do you have these concerns over every vaccine?
Each of the vaccines has their own set of problems, but all of the major ones cause your body, they're all genetic therapies to cause your body to produce the toxin called the spike protein that is the toxic agent from the coronavirus. So why would we program our cells to produce the very toxin that's damaging people's bodies? And we don't know, because I spent the whole of last year trying to explain to doctors that it's the spike protein causing the damage, and this is the mechanism that it causes, where it damages the endothelial cells of the blood vessels and causes the blood clots and on. And they didn't want to listen to that. So it's not surprising to me that now that there's a vaccine about, that's causing the cells of the body to produce the spike toxin, that they don't believe it, because they didn't believe that the causative agent of the coronavirus for damaging people and killing people was the spike protein. So,
I have two more questions for you, Doctor, and I know I thank you for extending the time for a minute or so. Marisha Sinara says, so Doctor, truly, what will it really take to get back to some normalcy in the Bahamas? For example, no masks, no lockdowns, no curfews, if not the vaccine.
Okay, well, let's go back. It's right back to your original question, which I think is being missed. There are a significant number of people, if we would just test them, that are already immune. All right, we have about 12,000 officially reported cases of COVID in the Bahamas. All right, not all of those people were even majorly sick or anything, but 12,000 cases. But I can say for a fact that that's only about 10% of the cases, because the government for the most of last year was not counting the cases reported from the private doctors. So there was significant numbers of people, and there still are significant numbers of people that are having COVID, but they just have very mild cases, and they may not even go to the doctor or whatever. But if we started testing to see the people that are immune, the people who are already immune do not need to have the vaccine. So let me flip gears and argue against myself. Let's now assume that this vaccine is perfectly safe and it is perfectly effective. Okay, good. Now, it's a valuable resource. It's a very valuable resource. How are we going to best use that? Well, we can give it to the people who most need it, which are the vulnerable, the people who have comorbidities, but we also don't want to waste it on people who are already immune. So if we were going to use it wisely, we should identify those people that are already immune, which I said, if there's 12,000 people officially counted, there's probably at least 100,000 to 120,000 people that if we started testing people are already immune. Those people don't need the vaccine. So now all we need to do, if we have 200,000 vaccines and we vaccinate another 200,000 people who aren't immune, now we're at 300,000. So we've really got a bang for our buck. So it just seems to me that they're not doing this wisely. They're not doing it with a scientific methodology. They're doing it from a political methodology. Doesn't matter what your situation is. Doesn't matter whether the vaccine already killed you after the first dose. We still want you to get the second dose. It doesn't matter whether the vaccine didn't seem to work. We still want you to get it. It doesn't matter whether you've already had COVID and you're already immune and you got the paper to prove it. We still want you to get the vaccine. Where is the logic here? It's just become this political behemoth of a monster that's just bulldozing our country and dividing our people and making it's like Dr. Seuss with that book with the Sneetches who have stars upon theirs. If you ever remember reading that, it's like so those that have the vaccine, they seem to become like almost religious. They're so concerned that everyone else must get the vaccine, like they're religiously indoctrinated. If they have the vaccine and they're immune, what do they care? They're immune. They can't catch the COVID, right? But see, maybe on a subconscious basis, they know that it ain't really working, is it? It's just a political game. They know it. So they just want everyone to have the vaccine, even those that are going and getting it, so that we can just get on. But guess what, my friends? It isn't going to go away that easy. All right. Once power is taken away from you and put into the hands of corrupt people, they ain't gonna give it back to you. They ain't not gonna give it back to you without some resistance. Let's just put it that way.
Here's another question, Dr. Bethel. Nicole Saunders, why can't the Bahamas get the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines? Well, I think you answered that and said you also have concern and issue about those.
There's a logistic problems, that those vaccines have to be frozen, and yes, they do have there are issues. Those are still gene therapies. They have issues. There are vaccines out there that seem to be much safer and stuff. But again, we keep forgetting that we have treatment. If we would just roll out on we act as if we don't have treatment. So I hate getting caught up in this vaccine garbage because it becomes irrelevant. And we have treatment for COVID. We just need to roll it out and do it, but
wouldn't that cost wouldn't the Bahamas be sort of like alienated and within the international community? Like, excuse me, who y'all think y'all are? You're all treating with this when we say treat with that?
Right. So
is that a part of the fear?
Well, it's not part of my fear.
No, I mean a government's position.
It might be part of because they are beholden to the International Monetary Fund and other higher powers that are telling them what to do. So and there are things called Freudian slips. So when our ministers and former Minister of Health speak, they say we need. What do we need? Where's this need coming from, right? And we want this many people to do this, and so it's like they're passing on a message, from somewhere else, almost like, I'm just tired of it. I think everybody is tired of this whole thing in their own way. But from my perspective, like I say, knowing that there are effective treatments, people should have the choice. I'm not saying for people not to do it. Like I said, I just give people the information. I said, here's what the package insert says that it's about to be injected into your arm. All right. If you're okay with that, go right ahead and do it.
And finally, from Rudy Ann Lang, what is the history of mRNA, which is a part of the makeup of Moderna and Pfizer?
Well, that's too long of a question. Yeah, I think she means mRNA gene therapy. It's brand new. The history of using mRNA gene therapy was to try to treat cancer. So Moderna was originally a cancer treat. They were developing so-called tumor vaccines, cancer vaccines. They adopted that technology to try and use it, to try and fight off the coronavirus. So it's a brand new technology that hasn't been tested out. It wasn't approved. It was still in development, but now they've got lots of data. If they would just care to look at it, in terms of safety.
Okay, listen, Dr. Kevin Bethel, I thank you very,
I
very
really
much.
do need to go.
Yeah, I know. I thank you so much for spending this extra time with us. You gave us 15 minutes extra, or a little more than that. So thank you very, very much. And of course, we will continue to monitor this. We will continue, and we hope to even have the government on answering more questions, explaining, and kind of just making people feel a little more comfortable, so that they can truly move on and make a decision. Thank you very much, Dr. Bethel.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for joining us. When we come back, we are going to talk about the lockdown extension in North and Central Andros. What does it mean? Are the numbers there more than we are seeing? And what really caused the extension? We're going to talk about that with the North Andros Member of Parliament, Carlton Bolag, right after this break. Stay close.
To shed some extra inches of unwanted belly fat. Did you know that there are alternatives to surgery to get rid of unwanted fat? Let Therapy Natural Health Spa help you reduce fat without surgery. Therapy Natural Health Spa employs a series of methods in a customized plan to suit your fat loss goals. Target those stubborn and challenging areas on the body with our cavitation body shaper that uses heating lasers to break up and melt fat during each session. Did you know that as you drink water and exercise, that your lymphatic system and liver work together to help eliminate fat? Let Therapy Natural Health Spa help you get the results you've been waiting for. Call us for a free consultation and let Therapy Natural Health Spa work out a plan for you. Check us out on Instagram or Facebook. Our numbers are 393-1126 or 806-1132.
Maybe it's for the thrill, or the scenery, or maybe you do it for the speed, or maybe it's for the baby. It might just be for the next stop, or even for the beautiful moments. Whatever your reason for driving, we'll be there to keep you going. Atura Auto, servicing your vehicle at a price that keeps your pockets happy. Call us today.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation. We're going to jump right into the next segment of the show. Please welcome to the conversation the North Andros Member of Parliament, Carlton Bolag. Good afternoon, Mr. Bolag. Welcome to the conversation.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you?
I am good, thank you. Thank you. I know that you're in Parliament, and so thank you for stepping out of the chamber for a few minutes just to talk about the extension. First of all, what is the response? What's happening on the ground in North Andros and Central Andros? And how are people responding to being locked down for an additional 7 days?
Well, you're going to have people who are probably not in agreement with it. On the other hand, you have people who accept it very well because they understand exactly what's going on. But you're having it, basically you're having mixed emotions on it.
What are your thoughts personally? Do you think it's warranted? What's happening on the ground that warrants this additional 7 days?
Well, I live there, so I can tell you this. We are in a crisis. We do have cases that are rising every day, and we're trying to, as best as we can, flatten the curve so that we can get back on to where we need to be as far as working is concerned.
And this is in North and Central Andros you're speaking of right now?
Yes, it is in North and Central. Berry Islands are doing quite fine. They are basically they have gotten control over that part of it, and they're doing very wonderful there.
Well, it's worrisome to hear that. I know when last week we had someone from the Berry Islands on, and she talked about actually losing. It's a very small community, and so they lost someone, and the whole community felt it. Andros has not experienced any loss of life.
To be honest with you, the one in the Berry Island was my cousin, and
I'm sorry.
we are going through some crisis, like I say, in Andros right now. We have one that I'm certain of that would have lost their life. Actually, it is two that I'm certain of, and they have some that are pending. So we do have two people that have already passed away.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, Andros obviously is in a state, and please, heartfelt condolences on the loss of your cousin in the Berry Islands. There's something that I remember the Prime Minister, when he announced the lockdowns about 2 weeks ago, talk about ensuring that systems are in place, that people are able to have food, have the basic necessities. How is that happening in North Andros and Central Andros?
Well, there's a team that was put together by the administrators and the local government consulates for each area, for each district, I should say, is responsible for making sure that the food are being distributed. And it's been trying, but we do have a lot of people that are doing it, and voluntarily, and are doing a tremendous job with it.
Yes. Also, let's just talk about the fact that farmers in North Andros and Central Andros can still kind of move about within certain parameters, and even people who obviously, the crab season and catch, well, how that can work? If this the crab season, and then anyway, they are able and permitted to go and catch crabs as well. Please break it down for us. Let us know how that's going and how that's being managed.
Well, at first, based on people calling and talking about the crabs and walking, it's an advantage for people to go out and during the break, during the lockdown and stuff like that. You have a lot of people that sends messages. A lot were welcoming when it came to it, and the Prime Minister looked at it and he adjusted it where people can go for crab right now. Based from 8 in the night till 5 in the morning. Also for farmers to go out and either water their plants, or they can go and do harvesting in between the hours of 5 and 9 a.m. We do have the parking house that is going to be coming on stream again as of tomorrow. The reason why that wasn't on stream was because it was compromised also. But thank God we happen to have that under control.
Well, you want to keep it the way you describe. Yeah, the way you describe North Andros is still a hotbed, and so I imagine you would want to gingerly and very carefully kind of resume business as usual.
Yes, you have to, but we're making it very very convenient for the people. We don't want them to be uncomfortable. Crabbing is a way of life, and fishing and farming in that family island. And we look out for all of that. We are asking the people to be very responsible in what they're doing, and to know that they should, just follow the proper protocol that is in place.
The big fight that we saw about a week and a half ago, is that your constituency as well?
No, that's in Central Andros.
Well, I thought you were North and Central. Oh, no, no, you were North. Yeah, Central and
Well,
South.
you know, the problem
Yes,
is,
yes, yes.
it is like basically right now, I don't know why, but people feel as though I should have answers for both constituency, probably because I'm the government official in there, and I do assist as much as I can in both. So when it comes
Yeah.
down to matters like that, I would reach out because a part of my constituency is in Central Andros, as far as local government is concerned. But central government, it's a part of Mr. Forbes' area.
Yes, absolutely. And finally, what can you say to the people of North Andros this afternoon who perhaps are feeling anything from being vexed for the sixth extension, for wondering about the economy, for wanting things to get back as to normal as quickly as possible? What is it that you can sort of say to them, share with them?
Well, I know it's a painful process for some. Others would look at it as a way of probably relaxation. Like I say, it's a mixed emotion, but I just want them to know we, and I said we because I'm one of them. Uh, During this whole process, we've dropped the ball quite a bit. And by saying that, we never used to wear our masks. We used to be in public gatherings. Whether it was church or whether it's to a spot that is carrying people, we tend to drop our guards. And I felt safe being home because we never had any COVID or anything
No,
there,
because you figure it's home
as
and
per
it's the
se.
island.
So we were doing well. Right, but people started to venture back home, and people came from all over, and we tend to just mingle. We had, like I say, functions in there that we weren't careful with, and I'm saying we because, like I say, I did it too, until I realized that it was time for me to start either staying away, realizing that the crowds were getting too large, in which I would like for them to do the same thing and I'm just follow the protocol in place. It's quite simple for us to have fun, and we can just take responsibility upon ourselves and know that we have to, by any which means, wear our masks and just follow the protocols. That's the main thing. If we do that, I think we're gonna be quite fine. I do want them to know that I'm looking forward to us really getting that economy back open and doing what we can because our livelihood really is crabbing and farming and fishing down there. Whereas in the Berry Islands, it is basically tourists. So you have
Yeah.
two different economy that runs there. And when you look at the economy in the Berry Islands, it was, when I say employment was like right up to 100%
Wow.
employment, and it dropped down to probably about 100% unemployment. But this week coming up,
Wow.
we're looking forward to the cruise line coming back in there and bringing a lot of activity where those people can get some normalcy back to their lives, and I'm excited for that.
Okay, well, listen, we look forward to speaking with you again and catching up with you again to talk about Berry Islands. And it's good to hear the good news about Berry Islands. We know Andros is a different island, a different economy, a different kind of flow goes on there. And so we look forward to speaking with you again. And thank you very much. I know that you are going to head back into the chamber. And so thank you for stepping out and taking some time to speak with us this afternoon. That's the Member of Parliament for North Andros, Carlton Bowleg, speaking about the extension to the lockdown for the next 7 days and talking about the fact that in North Andros, there are still a lot of challenges when it comes to COVID. And so the lockdown was perhaps necessary in order to get things under control. And so thank you very much, Mr. Bowleg. We are going to take a break and come back with... My pleasure. Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you so much. He is coming to us live from the House of Assembly, in fact. We are going to take a quick break and come back with some final moments with, you guessed it, Glenroy and Garth, a little, wrap up on this Monday. Stay exactly where you are.
Beyonce may have said that she woke up like this, but remember, Beyonce has a whole team of experts to help give her that flawless look. It's your turn to shine in the skin you're in with your team, Flirty Girl. We help you contour your body, enhance your curves, and embrace your skin with our fat-burning laser lipo and breast and butt enhancements. Relax with a facial, a massage or detox, and try our fitness and nutrition coaching, or even our specialty services, Brazilian wax, and intimate skincare and intimate brightening treatments. Let your inner smile glow on every inch of yourself. Maybe even surprise him with a male or couples experience. This is your invitation to unveil your beauty. Request a consultation today by calling 677-1689 or WhatsApp 467-9630. Flirty Girl, where you are beautiful.
Very, very much. Please look at the page, get the information, certainly patronize our sponsors. Let them know that you saw it right here on the conversation on our live show on the page. And of course, many of them give a discount when you say that. And so let's just get Fab, Fab hair, natural hair, and everything else for summer, right? And beyond. Please welcome, let me hear these guys' take on everything that was said today. Glenroy Pratt, Garth Rosborough, who is, of course, the leader of the People's National Coalition. Welcome to the conversation on this Hot Topics Monday, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So you guys are here just to kind of pull it all together, wrap up. Listen, what stood out, we spoke with Dr. Kevin Bethel. You heard, you all saw, rather, Dr. Dwayne Sands, former health minister, talk about the fact that, listen, we need 200 people vaccinated. We need that now, like the sooner the better. Dr. Kevin Bethel is among a growing list of doctors who say, you know what, I ain't quite sure about all that. So you heard him and you heard what he had to say in regards to that. And then you also heard the Member of Parliament for North Andros just a minute ago, Carlton Boleg from the House of Assembly, speaking to us, talking about the real challenges in North Andros and the fact that an additional week was warranted, even though, of course, they're allowing some movement for people to be able to still, especially farmers and crabbers, to be able to make a living, get some stuff going. If it's one area you all want to respond to, expand on, certainly jump in.
Well, good afternoon again. Shenique, I take that Dr. Bethel is a good doctor, but as it relates to this particular issue, I think his credibility is shot because of the fact that he took the shot. You can't proclaim something is not good for people and then you took it. I don't care under what circumstances you took it, that makes your voice mute. If you believe so strongly and you are so convicted on what you believe in, your principles will make you stand firm and hold fast to your personal belief. And because he didn't, I personally believe that his credibility is shot.
Wow.
In this particular instance.
In this instance. You were saying that, yeah. Garth, your thoughts about Dr. Kevin Bethel?
I differ with Glenroy today only because being a physician, you have a responsibility to the general welfare of all. And if you're going to administer anything to anyone based on your oath, you have to also be the one taking that very same shot. And so you can't give what you're not yourself willing to take. Now, if he took the shot anticipating that this is a good thing, and then finds out at a later moment that this is something that I now question, the fact still remains, Mr. Glenroy Pratt, he took the shot. Now, if you, Mr. Glenroy, took that shot last week, and you tell me, boy, God, this ain't working out for me, I'll have no confidence in taking that shot. I don't discriminate against you for taking the shot. I think everyone is looking for a resolution to the situation. We want what's best for everybody. And just like the vaccine is in its experimental stage, physicians are experimenting, politicians are experimenting, family members are experimenting. Garth is not experimenting. Garth is waiting to see how the experiment works.
So Garth, what you were saying, 1 second, Glenroy. Garth, you were saying, yes, he took the shot, but that doesn't call his credibility into question. And he's now saying, listen, because he took the shot and what his experience was, him coming out and speaking is noble.
It's very noble to me. I actually will listen to him because he was brave enough to take the shot. And in this situation, as for me, like I said, I came from a home of science. My dad is a PhD in biology. My mother's a banker. And so I think along those lines scientifically and business-wise. And I said to myself, something for Garth is not adding up. And that's why I respected when I first came on your show. And I heard the people who are listening to your show and yourself say, you know what, it's a personal thing. And so once again, if you're not comfortable with anything personally, you have the personal right to say yes or no. Now, for the government to say, we want 200,000 people to now consider taking this shot. Tell Garth what I'm up against. I need to know. Me personally, I need to be educated as to what's in that shot. Why am I taking the shot? Why does it have to be 200,000 people? Why can't it just be...
Well, Garth, you know about the herd immunity, and that's what that is for. And I feel the government needs to come out. The government needs to come out with a whole educational campaign. It absolutely does, so people can feel better and more comfortable making a decision. A decision. Glenroy, you had anything else to say? Because we can certainly, of course, go. The fact is, Cayman Islands is near herd immunity. They're a very small population, but they're near herd.
Barbados, many other Caribbean countries. And furthermore, the doctor was touting certain things about this vaccine prior to taking it. He was talking about the vaccine and he was very skeptical. And most of what he stated about the vaccine post was said pre. And because of that alone, if you were pre making these statements and you still took it, for me, your credibility is shot. I know some people don't agree with me. That's fine. But I still firmly believe that if you took the vaccine and you said all these things prior to taking the vaccine, you are saying to me that, listen, I didn't totally believe everything that I was saying in the beginning. I'm still going to take this chance. And so now that you're still saying the same thing post, I still believe that your credibility is short in this area. That's simple for me.
Gentlemen, let's run on really quickly before we get to Carlton Bolag and the lockdown extensions. Let's talk quickly about Labor Day and the fact that the Progressive Liberal Party appeared to have led a group of unionists. Of course, they were stopped because the police said there is no motorcade, there is nothing to be held. But was that a bit unfair for Labor Day? Could a motorcade have been held or allowed, and things still kept within the protocols? What y'all thought? What y'all thought about it?
I think the whole scenario is just a lame situation, just lame from beginning to end. I believe that the modern generation or the people of this age at this point don't even fully appreciate what Labor Day is, because many of our young people have never even had a job. So what labor are we talking about? So for the PLP to show up there and make a political gesture as to their standing for labor in this country, why won't the Progressive Liberal Party stand to get these young people back to work? And don't tell me that they're not the government, because when they were the government, we had a whole generation of people that were not employed, and they're still not employed. And in 2022, they still will not be employed. And if we continue this pandemic talk, no one is going to be employed. People are going to die, Mr. Glenroy Pratt, from starvation before we die from COVID-19. Malnutrition, illnesses, diabetes, high blood pressure, those are real diseases that we have seen family members die from, and from a lack of being able to take care of our individual homes. There's no financial stimulus. There's nothing offered to us in order to sustain us against our bills. We are going to die from stress. We're going to die from... God, you better try singularize that's them statements you make it right there. Don't try and royal around here and speak for no Shenique, I had to take...
That's an emotional outburst. Listen, I hear what you're saying, right?
One second, Glenroy. Let Garth wrap up. Go ahead, Garth.
Glenroy, I am being affected. I have to take my big engine off my boat. I put a small engine on my boat to save gas and spend more time on the ocean.
Well, Glenroy, at least he got a boat to put an engine on, eh? What you saying, Glenroy? He sound like he living to me, eh?
Listen, at the end of the day, listen, this is an emotional situation, but I wouldn't be emotional in dealing with it in terms of how I think about it. There's a reality that we have to look at. I think when I listened to a show today, it was mentioned that people are not traveling to the Bahamas. It isn't because the Bahamas isn't open and free, it's because also when you look at their countries are not making it possible for them to travel as freely as they wanted to travel.
Yeah, no, many
Okay?
countries. In fact, Cayman, who was near herd immunity, the borders are closed.
Exactly.
Canada is still doing a number of things like that as well. Go ahead, continue, Glenn.
Further to that, when you look at those realities, right? We act as if the country here, we act as if we are doing everything that the world isn't doing. I spoke to a gentleman yesterday from St. Lucia. I asked him about the COVID protocols and everything there. He said that they've extended their lockdowns. They're still on lockdown. Their lockdown is from 9 to 5. And he also stated that, yes, some people are using the situation as a political ploy, to create problems for the current party and all that. But people are receptive because they understand the situation. We just believe in the Bahamas that this is only happening in the Bahamas. This is not the fault of this government. COVID caused this. I've been on a job for 28 years. I was laid off of that job after 28 years. I've been impacted equally. But guess what? I'm not going to take an emotional stance about it. I'm going to look at it and recognize that COVID has
only one Glenroy to do, Ms. Miller, is be able to go crabbing. Go get some crab. Then
You want him to go to Andros and and catch crab, eh?
Go ahead.
Go get crab. Listen. Crab now for centuries, and all of a sudden now you can't go at night to catch a crab. And what time of day does a crab walk? I just asking a question because
the people could go and catch crab, man. The people, because I want to know, Garth. What I want to know is who can buy them crab. Now, when I hear, I don't know if I want crab from Andros right now. That's what I don't know. I don't even. I don't eat crab. But Garth and Garth
can buy the crab. The same money they borrowed for that budget to come to the Bahamas to pay the government wages, it's the same people who can buy the crab and can buy my fish.
Very true, very, very true, absolutely. Gentlemen, let's quickly go into what Garth, you bet right. Let's quickly go into what Garth just kind of talked about, the lockdowns, the further lockdowns, warranted or no? Now, we heard the Member of Parliament for North Andros just speak about the situation in Andros, but jump in.
What as it relates to this lockdown is necessary?
Yes.
Well, you heard Carlton Bowleg himself. He talked, listen, we act as if we don't see these things, I don't know why we do this in the Bahamas. There was a video about this big fight down in Andros the other day.
Listen to me, I thought that was his constituency.
The police officer had a mask on that he was dealing with a gentleman who had blood, and the blood was ended up on the police officer's mask. All right. We saw this fight. We saw the amount of people that were there not wearing masks and all that. Right. We heard the minister talk about people coming to the islands and interacting without having the right protocols and doing.
We heard him just say it. Yeah.
He said, "I am one of you. I am with you," and I did the same thing. And so my point is, at the end of the day, if we're going to change or have some kind of reality to the situation where we get out of this, we all have to do our part. I mean, it's simple. We all have to do our part. And we could fight as much as we want and say that this isn't making any sense and all that. Listen, I don't like lockdowns. Right now, I just go to sleep. Almost 10 o'clock, I get tired automatically. Because why? These lockdowns have an impact on me. I get sleepier faster. I used to go to bed 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, but now I can't even do it. Listen, the point I'm making is, at the end of the day, right? We all have our part to play.
Yes.
And we can stay here all day and argue as much as we want and change government as much as we want. If this country has a major outbreak, you have to make a response to it, and we have to do it right away, no matter who in power.
You have to go, Garth.
I just want to know: could people have the responsibility of crabbing 6 feet apart?
Well, I hope they do in Andros. I hope they do, because they can go crabbing from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. So I hope that they distance doing it.
What I'm saying, Mr. Glenroy Pratt, is I understand fully the pandemic. I understand the protocols. I understand the lockdowns. I understand all these things. But I am going to starve in my own house. How is the government of the day going to address malnutrition and starvation? How is the government going to deal with the psychological effect of what has now happened over this past year and a half. And so I am looking for these answers because we act as if COVID-19 is not only the cause, but it's also the excuse. In America, they had a stimulus package for the citizenry. In the Bahamas,
you can't talk with America and its stimulus package. America
we don't even want to pay taxes in this country, but we want
America just in print over how much trillions in
but you borrowed the money.
The latest one, and in fact, God, you know this, God, wait a minute, I just spoke with someone in Washington for 4 hours on Friday, four hours, and he was telling me how your best bet is to stay home and have children in America right now. Don't go to work, don't look for no job, because why? You are getting $3,000 to $4,000 each per child, in the United States right now. So we cannot compete with the United States in their stimulus packages.
Okay.
One second, Glenn Wright. Let God finish. Glenn
Wright, you know
Glenn Wright, let God finish.
What I have not yet heard, Mr. Glenn Wright Pratt, is one member of parliament since this pandemic say they're going to take a half pay or no pay at all to help no skin on your face, because we do not have
$28,000 a year, half pay on what? $28,000 a year.
Glenn Wright, let God finish.
We have no income. For you to appreciate me not having an income, you should try for 2-3 months, and maybe you'll now begin to understand how to properly execute all that you need to do in terms of this pandemic.
Glenn Wright, God say you can't relate to somebody who ain't had a job and a paycheck for what he said about 3 months or more.
Yeah,
listen, I've been out of a job.
God, touch your finger on your lip, your whole finger.
I've not worked for almost 2 years. Me, personally, I've not worked for almost 2 years. My bills were mounting, okay? I have responsibilities. I have children, all right? My children were in school. I almost had to take them out the other day. I have responsibilities.
I got to
The reality of it is, this is not a situation that is unique to Glenroy. This is not a situation that is unique to the Bahamas. This is a global problem. It's a global challenge. And we got to get our head out of the sand. I don't care what we think and believe. Our belief isn't going to change the situation. Our action is. We have to change our behaviors. We all have to do our part. And unless we recognize that, we will continue to be in this state. You talk about feeding people. Right now, the feeding network is still there. People are still getting national insurance, even though it may not come in the right time fashion. They're still getting it. There are persons being helped. The private sector has been the most impacted sector in this whole pandemic. When you look at government workers, none have been furloughed, none have been laid off. And so when you talk, and they've been getting full salary. In some cases, they've been home for months and weeks with full salary. So let's not make it seem as if everybody is hurting in that sense. Not everybody is hurting. There are people, listen, I go around and I look around this town.
Child, you could say not everybody hurting.
Tell me something. Why, when I look around and Kelly's and AID and all these other places, lines upon lines upon lines, people shopping.
Glenroy, there are people shopping. Yes, there are. I've seen them myself. Gentlemen, I thank each of you. God, what is it that you are saying again? I thank each of you. I think that you both are balanced in what you have had to say today in terms of equally having turns. Garth, don't look with that kind of tone in your voice, on your face.
I want to know.
10 seconds, Garth. 10 seconds. Go ahead.
I want to know if Glenroy took Dr. King's magic black bottle. That's what I want to know.
No. I ain't trust that bottle. I ain't trust that.
Wait a minute, Garth. Garth, what Dr. King magic black bottle? What black bottle?
Witness on a debate that Dr. King, who is a Bahamian citizen, says that he has the cure in a black bottle.
The cure for what?
COVID-19.
Right.
Gentlemen, I thank you all.
Fool's paradise.
I thank you. I thank each of you very much for Glenroy, stop. I thank each of you very much. Glenroy Pratt, Garth Rosborough. Of course, we thank very much Carlton Bowleg, MP for North Andros. We thank very much Dr. Kevin Bethel, who has been a leading voice in all things COVID treatment, anti-treatment, all the rest of it. And I thank you all very, very much. Social media audience, thank you. Hey, YouTube audience, I understand you guys are growing every time we stream. And I thank you all for streaming live and watching and enjoying the show and even commenting. Cara tells me that you all are there and you all have fun as well. So, hey, Facebook audience, thank you all very, very much. You all are amazing. Share the live stream, share. And we will see you all on Wednesday. It is now Wednesday. It's such a loaded show. I don't even know how I can make this happen because a lot going on, a lot is happening. And so we'll see exactly how we do that. But everybody have a great evening. God bless and see you all on Wednesday.
I need a little conversation. You need a little conversation. We can go far with the conversation. Here with Shenique on the conversation.